Hello and welcome everyone to another gathering of Shanti in Place, our weekly meditation and Dharma teaching. I want to invite everyone to take a comfortable seat, a comfortable posture, Sukhasana, whatever that is for you. Taking a moment to make whatever adjustments you need to make. If we're sitting in a chair, maybe that means just readjusting ourselves so we're making contact with the chair or contact between our feet or our shoes and the floor in a more grounded and intentional way. There's really no right or wrong way to do this because we all have different bodies. We all are coming with different strengths and different challenges. So really the guiding principle is whatever works for us, whatever puts us in a state that is comfortable and at ease, and at the same time that allows us to be focused and present, to be aware with clarity and with focus. If you haven't already done so, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze, whatever feels more comfortable and accessible to you. We'll begin our practice after the sound of the bell by taking 3 deep breaths with intention. Deep breaths in. I want to invite you to practice holding for just a few seconds. Often I like to breathe in for 4 beats, hold for 4 beats, and then exhale for a slightly longer time, perhaps 6 beats. The numbers aren't nearly as important as whatever feels like that right balance to you, whatever feels like it's comfortable and also that is perhaps stretching you just a little bit. So whatever that is for you, if you want to try the 4-4-6, that's certainly something you can try. If you prefer not to count and just to try to breathe in, hold, and breathe out in a way that feels like the right amount of time, you can certainly do that. And if it's helpful, we can try to keep pace together. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Holding. And release. Let's take a second deep breath in together. And exhale. One third deep breath in, hold, and exhale together. Continuing to breathe with intention and to notice our breath. We can continue to breathe in the same pattern if that feels like a natural flow, Or we can simply allow the breath to return to its natural pace, its natural rhythm, whatever that may be for us. On any given day, the tides of the ocean come in and out in a unique fashion, their own pace. And in the same way, on any given day, in any given moment, really, if we allow it to, our breath finds its own rhythm, its own movement. We may feel tempted here to do something to control or manipulate the breath, to do something to force ourselves into what we imagine to be a meditative or spiritual space. But we can resist that temptation. We can recognize it, and we can gently tell our minds, our thoughts, that we are doing exactly what we are meant to do right now. We're simply observing. We are observers when we are able to guide our awareness with gentleness and ease towards noticing. We are observers when we are present. When we feel judgment arise, we can replace it with curiosity, with a leaning in or a tuning in to observe and to notice, perhaps the way a child does, with simplicity, with openness, with joy even. Continuing to notice the breath. If we'd like, we can also notice anything in our external world that we are connecting with. We connect with our external world in the most basic, fundamental way through the senses. Noticing each of our senses, where they are, what they're connecting to or being connected to. Noticing if we have our eyes closed or softly closed. Noticing any flickering of light. Any physical sensation or shapes before the eyes, before our sense of sight. Noticing sounds, the sounds in the room, the sounds on this call, the soft hum of the background, white noise, the sensation of my voice perhaps, whatever it is. We don't need to analyze it or characterize or categorize it. Just notice it with curiosity as an observer. Noticing perhaps any residual tastes or smells that our noses or mouths are connecting to, the sensation within our nostrils, within our mouths, on our tongues. Any sensations we're encountering or that are coming before us. Even the sensation of the air as it touches our skin, our bodies against our chairs or our seats, the floor perhaps. Noticing what our mind is doing right now, where it's going, seeking perhaps to judge, to criticize, to be disturbed or to disturb others, whatever it's doing, wherever it's taking us or seeking to take us. Simply choosing to be curious instead, to notice, to accept. And if we'd like to, we can open our palms, placing our hands perhaps in our laps or at our knees, palms open and up, facing out in a gesture of acceptance. Perhaps we can stretch the chest and the torso, the heart region and heart space open just a little bit more in a gesture of acceptance. Bringing our awareness more internally now to our thoughts, to our minds, to the texture of our thoughts, our feelings, to whatever is arising for us at this moment. Recognizing it, perhaps even silently naming it, and simply noticing it. We are sitting in rooms, in buildings, or perhaps outside in a world of so many different external physical structures. We are connected to our physical space. We are not our physical space. We're experiencing so much through our senses, through the physicality of our bodies, our exterior and interior organs. We are so intimately connected to our senses and our bodies, and yet we are not our senses or our bodies. We are so deeply and subtly connected to our minds, to our thoughts, to our impulses and feelings. We are so tightly bound to our reactive minds, to our discerning minds, to the wonderful mysteries of how we process and take in the world, how we navigate the world, to this amazing network of mental and intellectual faculties. And yet we are not our minds, we are not our thoughts. We can observe the world around us and our senses, our bodies and our minds We are the observer. We are the witness. Returning our awareness, perhaps now more intentionally, back to the breath. As we bring this meditation to a close, we'll breathe in deeply, hold the breath, and then exhale, chanting or hearing the sacred syllable Om, the sound of the infinite, the universal, the eternal. Allowing this sacred sound of Om to seal our practice and to bring us back to our gathering with more intention and focus. Breathing in deeply. Gently and with ease, opening the eyes, bringing our awareness back to the room, back to our gathering. Thank you all so much. I hope that was a nice experience, but also an experience where you could experience some growth. There's certainly challenges, whether from the external world. I know I was grappling with some distractions on a sensory level, so there's those kind of challenges. There's the inner chatter and the inner noise that sometimes, very often, can be even more challenging to quiet, to practice observing with curiosity. But just this intention to replace judgment, to replace um, that temptation to categorize and characterize, to label and analyze and figure out in that way that we so often do. Just the intention to replace that with genuine openness and curiosity and even acceptance, as we talked about last week, is such an amazing transformation, or it can be such an amazing transformation, to be able to allow ourselves just to observe the way a child observes. Some of us may be parents, or we may have children that we are connected to in our lives, maybe younger siblings or nieces and nephews, or we may be teachers. But when we spend time with children, we have this beautiful, really kind of eye-opening experience, I think, where we start to learn how to be curious again. Curiosity is such a natural quality, and it's amazing how as we get older, we tend to lose it, or we tend to get a little bit less connected to it. We often speak of being curious, but how often are we genuinely curious? How often are we genuinely open? How often are we genuinely observing without judgment, without agenda, not as a means to an end, but as presence, as radical presence, as an end unto itself. So I wanted to keep this to be a little bit of a shorter practice or a shorter session. So rather than share the screen and have a teaching drawing from the Bhagavad Gita, as we often do, or other texts like that, I think we'll save that for next week. But for now, I just want to hold some space for perhaps a sharing of reflections or questions around this practice of observation and of curiosity. So if anyone has any questions or would like to share even just how your experience was with today's sit or with other meditations or other sits that you've done, I would love to just hear what's on your mind and on your hearts right now.
Hi, this is Beth. I really enjoy this practice, and I guess it is affecting me on the positive way, because I had an experience like just yesterday in which I had a wonderful moment, and when coming back to home, I received from my neighbor kind of a strange reaction, which I did not react to. I was just observing. I'm still processing it. Like, don't know where it's coming from, but it is there. So I don't know how best I can do to, to bring peace to my surroundings. So I'm completely agree and enjoy this moment of learning, reminding, change judgment by curiosity, openness, and acceptance. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's quite powerful when we can especially bring it into our everyday lives. I know one thing that I've been reflecting on recently, and something that, if I'm being honest, I struggle with quite a bit, is sometimes I can even convince myself that I am genuinely being curious, or I'm cultivating this kind of openness. And on a certain level I may be, but even underlying that, there's still a slight agenda. There's still a kind of a temptation to do that as a way of controlling a situation. And it's natural, I think. We all are, we're kind of creatures of control in some ways, and I think we're naturally drawn to particularly when we're feeling like things are out of our control, to somehow exercise some control over the situation. But more and more, if we can make a practice, and this is why meditation, yoga, things like this are meant to be practices that help to build that. I often use this language of muscle memory, to build that muscle memory. So if we can build like a muscle memory of curiosity, of genuine curiosity, then in the moment we'll be able to exercise that. We'll be able to not even exercise it, but it will manifest itself naturally. But yeah, thank you for that great example.
I appreciated thinking about curiosity today, and I agree with you. I don't think that I'm curious often. I really enjoyed hearing the cat meow. So I think in my practice, in my meditation, I think I was sort of, my thought was, or my intention was to try to be ready to be aware of things that might happen. I would listen to a few noises that were happening near me, but they're routine. So to hear the cat, I was really excited because I didn't expect it. Another thought I had during practice was that I want to record myself so that I can take myself through guided meditation alone. It's really nice to have someone saying something to guide. I can often go deeper than maybe quiet sitting meditation on my own. So I would like to do that.
Yeah, great observations. I'm so grateful to you for stating your joy around hearing the cat, because I don't know who the cat is. The cat is not in my home, so I don't know.
It was in mine. I had to
Uh, uh,
fight, reacting to it.
yeah, no, I can imagine. But it's interesting, right? We have different. If the cat is not yours, and maybe if you have some pleasant association, or even just that openness and curiosity we talked about, that may be just an opportunity, an unexpected moment of joy, right? An unexpected kind of a surprise that just brightens the day. If the cat is ours, and we may feel some other emotions, we may feel some embarrassment, or we may feel some, some tension, some, like Paz is describing this, like kind of maybe like a fight, like, oh, I need to silence this cat. If we have some expectation, right? Like I'll be very honest, and I please don't in any way feel, offended, or feel like I'm criticizing or anything like that. But if I'm being honest, I often have an expectation of a kind of, particularly when leading a meditation, that everything is going to go smoothly, and it'll be like, pitch silent, whatever, it's like this kind of very stereotyped sense of like quietude. And then something happens, and it's whether it's a cat, or I have a printer in the room that I'm in, and someone sent a document to print, and so the printer starts worrying, or whatever it is. It's interesting that often, like they say, the more we resist, the more it persists. And often when we take that posture of trying to fight against things, trying to control things, trying to make everything neat and tidy, it's almost like we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. But when we change our own posture to make it that we are accepting the unexpected, like a child walking through your Zoom, that was not planned. Or a printer going off again, or a cat, right? When we start to see these things not as interruptions, not as flaws, not as mistakes, not as embarrassments, but as exactly what's meant to be in this moment, and even more so, as sent to us to teach us something in this moment, this whole other world of possibility opens up to us. So I didn't plan this. This was not at all what this meditation was supposed to be. In fact, I have a PowerPoint ready to go that I'm going to hopefully share with you next week. But, we have our plans, and then the spirit acts in different ways. The spirit takes the form of cats and middle schoolers and printers and cell phones that go off and all sorts of things. And when we embrace and notice the messiness and the unexpected, and we practice a genuine curiosity, then beautiful, beautiful things happen, and we're able to appreciate the tiny bits of joy that show up unexpectedly and surprisingly in our lives. So thank you for this unexpected Shanti in place session today. I'm a little lost for words, because this is not what we were planning to do, but this is exactly what was meant to be. So thank you all, and we will see you next week, if not sooner, for another installment of Shanti in Place. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. Take care.
It was good
Thank
to see
you.
everybody, and I'm glad we got to
Thank you.
practice together.
Thank you.
Bye.